Hey, I'm Callie Lewis. You're watching Geek Brief TV. This is part 3 of our story. We'll get back to the news on January 2nd. After we quit our day job at Extra Space to do Geek Brief full-time, we moved to the familiarity of our hometown. We moved into a loft in an old building, and if you were around during that phase, you might remember we were sick a lot. We pretty much coughed for the whole time we lived and worked there. During that time, we met William, the Geek Brief intern, and I built my first computer from scratch. We moved from there to a townhouse where we hired our first employee, Emily. She married a soldier and moved away. We loved the townhome, but the rent was freaking expensive. Almost a year ago, Neal went to the Travel Channel Academy in Washington, D.C. On the flight back home, we decided to go forward with our dream to buy a bus and travel to all 50 states. For most of 2008, we worked on making the big trip happen. We launched a website called paidbypixels.com where you can buy a $100 pixel ad for $50. For each $100 pixel you buy, you get an ad rotation on the Geek Brief website, so it's a pretty good deal. Paidbypixels.com so far has raised about $20,000 for the big trip. A good amount, but not enough to buy a bus, so we're saving it in a money market account. We're either going to continue saving that money to buy a bus, or we're going to lease a bus from the Hemp Hills and do the trip really fast. In order for it to be called the big trip, it has to be epic. In our thinking, there are 2 ways to make it epic. Do it fast or make it long. In the meantime, we'll continue to do little big trips until the economy improves. This past summer, when we got serious about bus shopping, we met Sean and Louise from OurOdyssey.us. They live in a Neoplan bus full-time. They're retired geeks and they work with the Red Cross during natural disasters. We got great advice from them about buses and got serious about buying one. At the time we started planning the big trip, it was possible to get a mortgage on a bus if you were going to live in it. In late summer, that was no longer possible, so we got a glimpse of the credit crisis before everyone else. Bankers told us they would be happy to loan us money to buy a house, but not a bus. So we have a couple big dreams for Geek Brief. One is the big trip, and the goal with the big trip is to capture awesome tech research in HD and share the best stuff with you guys. The other big dream is to take an ordinary house with no technology other than a doorbell and a garage door opener and turn it into a gadget house. We wanted to do the big trip first, but the economy said no, so we bought a house and rearranged our dreams. The house has 2 large studio spaces that we can dedicate to shooting shows. Our goal is to launch a couple other shows in 2009, but to do that we'll have to hire an editor to help. Shooting video is fast, processing it is interminable, so before we grow we have to hire a helper. That's pretty much our story. Now we're working on the future. Since Christmas we've been setting up the studio. We'll get back to work distracting you from all the bad news in the world on January 2nd, with one exception. The Canon 5D Mark II arrives today, so we'll shoot an unboxing and share our first footage with you on Brief 485. Thanks for watching and have a Happy New Year! The holidays are coming. Dee-loo. They're already over. Dee-loo. 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 I'm trying to rap here.